now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to this post-draft coverage here across the Jeff Meacham Network Multiverse of Media. I am the Renegade JJ Williams, being joined this evening by the simple man with the spectacular voice, Noah Foster. Let me just get this out of the way. Noah, I appreciate you for joining me at this late an hour for you. Like, it is 1:15 in the morning where you are. You told me in the group chat you're literally slapping yourself awake to try to get a little energy to wake up here. So much appreciated, sir, for you joining me this evening.
Well, I try when I can. Been up since 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday. The work week got through. Been recovering from a cough. Played a little Tetris Effect to get my mind at ease. And, I figured this won't go long unless they dictate with super chats. And I figured, why the help not? Help out a friend get a little bit prepared for the weekly Saturday night shenanigans. But it seems like already there's been some shenanigans to discuss before even that. And I'm not just talking about the Ferrero Rocher price that Monday Night Raw now has part of their company. Yeah. Draft day one. It was underwhelming for most of it. I was like, yeah, I kind of saw that happening. And then round 4 happened. What the hell? So I'm glad to do this with you and talk about it with you too.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it's underwhelming, but like Matthew says, it leaves a lot of questions, and we'll get to some of that as we go through the draft picks here.
No doubt.
Appreciate you being here, Matthew. Daniel, appreciate you being here. Yeah, I can say it was an interesting SmackDown for sure, and I hope Raw tops it. We'll see. I mean, don't feel bad, Noah. He's in the same boat.
Appreciate you, brother. Hey, we're here together, so without further ado, let's get right into it, brother.
At the end of the day, the matches for the show, which we're not going to really discuss the matches because at the end of the day, aside from the main event, they didn't really matter for anything. The focus of the evening was the draft.
Agree.
And the matches just really felt like filler.
This was
more than anything. Like it was crazy to me. Like you would have thought that they would try to make something of the draft moves being made and like really try to feature some of those people. And with the exception of like 2 names, they really didn't do that.
No, the way I look at it is this. I've seen enough WWE drafts to see when the matches actually have merit to either draft results or basically brand reset. Tonight was none of that. In my honest opinion, if this was going to rival or fight or even try to copy, if surpass the NFL draft that happened last night, because my friends were about that, I honestly would have just done like some WWE Network special and then really just buy into next week being the go home to the next WWE Premium Live event that already is thrown together as it is. And again, with Triple H, like he said, none of this stuff even matters till after Backlash. It almost felt like they were just honing it in just for, TV content. When I think about the WWE draft and the matches that matter during it, I think about, okay, a match wins. That's a pick for a brand. Red on PC. At least give the matches some sort of merit where it actually matters in draft results or matters for the draftees. This show really didn't feel like any of that. If there was one thing that was non-draft that mattered, like you said, it was the main event, only because of the continuation of the one thing in WWE that they keep manipulating, and that's the bloodline. Besides that, I literally could have done without this SmackDown. Just give me the draft because that's all people cared about. I mean, think about the people that were there, for example. The only reason your ticket was worth of any value was the people they had literally saying the drafts. I was honestly thinking it was just going to be Triple H or Adam Pearce by themselves. Okay, you got these spots just for these people to show up and call some names. But seriously.
And we'll definitely get to those people in a moment because a couple of them, well, I won't say a couple of them because most of them were business as usual, but there was one man who came out there in particular that really, I popped for.
Well, okay. Well, there you go. You get the cheap pop for one moment of 5 minutes of recall. Yay, he's back. But still, honestly, JJ, I could have just used this draft in a WWE studio green room, fake out, big, office. Welcome to the WWE draft, all constituents. Here we go. I did not need this as part of a very dull hybrid SmackDown. I was just literally all my friends shout out to HW Crew on Zoom, like, okay, when's the next round? Oh, this thing's happening? I don't care. Bleh. Okay, what names happened? Let's talk about that. Because I was tracking all that, of course, as you saw my
Right.
community chat. Literally, draft was okay. Execution was lame.
Well, I will say that the matches that they threw together for filler did give me an opportunity to get graphics made for the draft. So, at least the matches on my end serve some purpose because I had time to make graphics for the names that had just been drafted during the match that was happening so that by the time it was done, I could focus on the draft picks and then do the next set of graphics during the next match that happened.
Fair
So,
enough.
hey, got to find the silver lining in somewhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I appreciate that. See, I didn't have to worry about that. So as a spectator, where I want to be really engaged in what this truly is about, you put in this other stuff, and I already got to do commercials. You're already pushing my limits.
Right. All right. So let's get into this then because people are actually here to see this.
Yeah.
Yes, LA Knight got a win. That was definitely a plus. So
Fair.
the show started with Triple H coming out, and he made the note that every superstar from Raw and SmackDown was eligible for draft tonight, as well as certain selected superstars from the NXT brand.
Right.
The new rosters, as Noah pointed out, will go into effect on Monday, May 8th, following Backlash. I guess this gives the opportunity for title changes or something to happen for some of the belts. Probably more specifically any NXT call-ups, which there were some. We'll get to those later.
Oh, yes.
And the new title now is obviously going to be exclusive to Raw as the number one draft pick. No surprise to anybody. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman. Now, the biggest question in all this is the Usos were not drafted to SmackDown with them.
That's right.
That's going to be the huge thing going forward. And then, of course, the Usos lost the main event.
Spoiler alert.
So, as Paul Heyman said to them, they are now going to be ushered to the ocean of obscurity instead of remaining on the island of relevancy.
Oh, show security.
It's
next W shirt.
It's going to be interesting to see the developments here because at the end of the day, everything Sammy has been saying has been true.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay didn't want to hear it. Jimmy didn't want Jay to hear it. And just kind of is what it is. I mean, just before the main event, they did announce that on Talking Smack tomorrow, they'll do the rest of the draft picks for the people that didn't get picked tonight from
Correct.
the pool that was available. So it's possible that tomorrow the Usos will get picked and stay on SmackDown. But what does that have to do to the egos of the longest reigning tag team champions that they didn't get drafted on the main show? And not only did they not get drafted, they didn't get drafted alongside the rest of the bloodline.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought process. As again, I was tracking all that. Go check out the community tab, folks, to see how I track everything. The white ones were the ones that were drafted. The black ones were the ones that were part of the draft pool that weren't drafted as of right now, as we talk to you. And then, of course, we talk about the champions. But yeah, the very first pick out of the gate didn't surprise me, except with the fact that SmackDown kicked things off in the draft versus Raw last year. So I think we know which show is being the bigger view, but that's a whole different mindset.
Well, it's possible that SmackDown just got the first draft pick because it was on SmackDown tonight. When we get to Raw on Monday, Raw may get the first pick for that night.
I'm just figuring again, execution. Last year was 7 rounds of 5 picks. It was Raw that kicked things off because Raw's the bigger show. Thus, they need the bigger roster. They need the more depth to cover the TV time. It was very much the opposite, as we only had 4 rounds of 4, as we'll get into here. And if you talk about the number 1 draft pick, yeah, big surprise. Not really. Roman Reigns. But the people that are with him versus the people that aren't with him. For the longest time, we've been looking at the psyche, particularly of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, who really are the 2 biggest elements in this 4-person dance for the tag team straps that got matched and is close at this point. And with the fact that the Usos not only didn't achieve their job, they didn't even get mentioned within the bloodline pick. Yeah, it just feels like to me that at the end of the day, Jimmy Uso has been on borrowed time. Jey Uso, he's been going through an identity crisis. And now he just might need to realize that Sami Zayn was right. It's one of those things where now at this point, I wonder, regardless where they are drafted, are we finally going to see a split with the Usos where at the end of the day, maybe Jey Uso is the one with the more potential to go along as singles, why Jimmy might get lost in the shuffle? Because they have done everything and they've won the tag team championships countless times, but they're no longer the undisputed tag team championships. There are no longer separate belts. So the fact that they didn't get the job done and they weren't even drafted as part of the bloodline, at this point, you got to consider, are they irrelevant? And hard to say that for the 9th time, it feels like, WWE Tag Team Champions. But when I heard the first announcement and I did hear the Usos name involved, I was like, okay, so now we're finally seeing where Roman Reigns' trust, allegiance, family really wrecks up. One brother is still part of this picture. 2 brothers no longer aren't, at least as of right now. So, and again, Sammy's a humble guy. He'll never say, I told you so. But will Jey admit that maybe Sammy was right? At this point, I'm just waiting to see how Backlash plays out and why do I feel like Solo Sikoa has a Samoan Spike planned for a particular individual on his side.
Yeah, right? Sammy may be humble enough to not say, I told you so. KO isn't.
No, we heard that clear as day here. KO had enough of this bleep.
Ain't no need to bleep it. It's 1:30 in the morning where you are. It's 10:30 here. It's after hours. KO's had enough of that bullshit.
I didn't see the timer and my brain's on autopilot right now. Yeah, enough. He had enough of this crap. He had enough of this shit. And I don't blame him. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens want to take their careers in a different direction together without the Usos constantly being a part of this picture. I feel like now they finally can move on. There's just one more time they have to deal with this nonsense as of the time being.
I wholeheartedly agree. Then Triple H made the second pick, the first draft pick for Raw.
I knew this was coming a mile away.
And again, it shouldn't be any surprise that if Roman was the number 1 draft pick for SmackDown,
ding.
Whoa!
Can't even let them do it. The American
I know, that was so great that Triple H acknowledged that. Like, the music cut off just before it, and Triple H was like, I know. It was almost at the woe part. Go ahead. And he let him do it. But
get out there.
The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, staying on Raw. And again, this poses some big questions because what's going to happen with Cody now? Matthew says that my biggest worry is what is going on with Cody. Is he still going after Roman or getting the consolation prize? Also, please don't tell me they're going to have Bianca and Rhea swap belts. We'll get to that in a moment when we get to Bianca. Spoiler alert. But, and even our buddy James, our open mic night colleague, went and spoiled in the chat for me before it went live to the West Coast about Cody and Roman being separated. But it's like, don't forget that there's money in the bank, y'all. Money in the Bank is in London in July. I've said it for pretty much ever since WrestleMania.
You said it verbatim as if you're trying to finish the story yourself. And I still say, cool idea, but baby faces and Money in the Bank just don't go together.
I understand, but just keep in mind, everybody out there that's so worried about Cody being split for Roman, there's still Money in the Bank. The story can still end with Cody winning, cashing in on Roman in the Garden, and finishing the story where it began with his father in 1977.
Sounds like
all of that can still happen.
It's still good. Yeah, it's still good. Just see if they follow through with it. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, I mean, as soon as the draft began, very first 2 picks in my head was going to be Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. They are the names, the biggest draws, merch wise, the biggest stories, the biggest stars in the entire company. Period. But I did not see them both go into the same show, clearly, because they're not going to use WrestleMania Backlash for a rematch of WrestleMania for once in the main picture. Well, actually, I guess the same time around. They are going to put Cody Rhodes on a different story of adversity while Roman Reigns remains alone, unopposed on the island of relevancy while he finally shapes the existence of his family in a whole different way. As far as Cody Rhodes being on Monday Night Raw, yeah, he's the face, he's the top star, he's the draw. That makes sense. But as far as separating him from the Roman Reigns dynamic, I love the fact you're trying to make this the ultimate Cinderella finish the story. It all comes down to booking, 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 booking. But as far as people talk about the consolation prize, the Fiora Rocha Wish.com 2.0 participation, at least you tried, semi-sized gold belt. I'll talk more about that on Open Mic Night, folks. The shenanigans are ahead. Stay tuned for more on that. Cheap plug. It's one of those things, like I said, I still believe he should have won WrestleMania, but at the end of the day, WWE is not about necessarily what I want as a fan in wrestling. They are a megalo juggernaut of business that are about branding and marketing. So from t-shirts to the WWE logo branded on that center plate that pisses me off to making their stuff irrelevant, in my opinion, becomes legacy in history, which I'll talk about more on Open Mic Night. It is what it is. But yeah, you're not going to have Monday Night Raw without Cody Rhodes, or Monday Night Raw literally would have doodly squat.
I don't know if I'd say it has doodly squat because they still, at least for now, have Seth freaking Rollins. They've got Brock Lesnar. They've still got some very formidable names, but I understand and see the point where you're coming from in that they need that superstar that they can build the show around.
Bingo.
And as long as he stays healthy and doesn't have any more freak injuries, then Cody is that guy. He is still young enough and he's still fresh enough in the company to have programs with a ton of the talent that's there.
Exactly. And at this point, you need that. You need somebody to lead the ship. And Monday Night Raw has been missing that for quite a while. Yes, they have mainstay names, like you said, but they've just been fidgeting around. I mean, look at what happened the last time Seth freaking Rollins was on Monday Night Raw. Played his theme, bye, see ya. Now he's in a program of All Boss, which is the most random booking I've ever heard in my life. That sounds like something out of a W2K video game. But
That's
again,
fair.
we'll see what happens at WrestleMania Backlash. And as far as other notable names on Monday Night Raw, what do you really have that can match where Cody Rhodes is right now when it comes to his level of identity, appearance, importance in this company, especially with the current Raw roster, drafted or undrafted? It's unmatched.
Yeah, that's fair because a lot of the names that I would throw out, they got switched. So it's like,
Yeah, so that kind of also throws your other point out there too. Yeah. But yeah, these first two picks, if the draft started any way besides this, then I would have been like, okay, did Triple H and Vince McMahon have a fight and one of them didn't come out the same way, even though Triple H was on my screen?
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
So the number 3 draft pick, second pick for SmackDown overall from Triple H, saw the roughest, the toughest, the strongest, the greatest, the EST of the WWE go to SmackDown.
You realize what's around her waist, right? Let's just put it out there, JJ. That is the current Raw Women's Champion taking that belt from the red brand to the blue brand. What the hell?
That's fair. I mean, Rhea Ripley was not up as a potential draft pick this evening.
No.
You can almost bank now that she will end up going to Raw so that they can keep a women's champion. I'm going to be curious to see what happens if they don't go that route, but you can almost, like I said, bet that she will go to Raw so that there's a champion on each brand. And they'll probably do what they did a few years back where they'll just trade the titles.
Now, hopefully they don't just drop it and fight over it because of how irrelevant the actual moment it is. And truth be told, shoot or work, I feel that the guilty party was kind of mutually right in that, because it's one of those things where you think about legacy, moment, importance. Okay, you're a champion. So you got this belt. Okay, big whoop. You'll still be the champion. Just be the champion of the brand. It kind of diminishes how important either that moment when they won the belt was, or the legacy they had with that belt, respectfully for both women. So I feel it's one of the cheapest plays that WWE is known for repeating. And I do hope that's not the case. And with the fact that, again, these go in effect after Backlash, and both championships, I believe, are on the line at Backlash, if I remember correctly, one of them has to change in order for this, I feel like, to make some sort of sense. At least that's what I thought till later. So I do feel like right now, again, WWE is undermining the importance of their brand champions. When you're a champion of your brand, you should have a chance to either usher in the next one going in before you leave it, or you have a chance to go the long haul with it to see what you can do with it. Again, Bianca Belair, she's been Raw Women's Champion now for over a year. I respect that. But when Asuka was undefeated in my black and gold NXT, and she was moved to a different roster, she relinquished the title. She didn't take it with her. And I know that Backlash right now is still booked, and these draft picks don't go into effect until after Backlash. But it's just one of those things where I look at the draft right now and you draft a brand champion to the opposite brand. It's almost like you're farming it in. And I kind of feel like it diminishes the importance of not the champion, but the championship. This was super weird.
I agree. And, you know, the chat room's already talking about it, and we'll get to it when we get there. So spoiler alert. But I mean, Io went to SmackDown also. So even if there's a title change, the Raw Women's Champion is still on SmackDown technically.
Exactly, unless they do some sort of supplemental post-draft and switch superstars, which, truth be told, they have done as well. So, again, I don't think nothing is truly official, but this was a weird choice considering she is still the Raw Women's Champion.
Agreed. So, wrapping up Triple H's announced picks, the last pick for Raw, the second pick for Raw overall, the man Becky Lynch. I feel like some of these were interesting takes because, you know, and we discussed this a little bit when you did your Simply Predicting draft. I feel like people that were already on Raw, already on SmackDown, got drafted to stay on SmackDown. I feel like that's kind of weird in the long run because they're already your superstar.
Agree.
I mean, I guess I understand to a degree trying to lock them down on the show and keep them there, but it just seems weird that you would waste a draft pick on somebody who you already own, for lack of a better phrasing, instead of going after somebody on the other show to bring to your show.
Yeah, but I also think about this when it comes to drafting, and this goes with even our sports. You look at performance value, and in WWE's case, you look at star power. If you don't think about the place of your biggest stars first, whether they stay or switch, then I do feel like people will be like, ugh? Because, yeah, when I looked at some of the picks, particularly this one, I was like, okay, really? Is that a surprise? Like, if they're not going to switch, then yeah, kind of irrelevant. But everyone's like, Becky Lynch, she's like one of the biggest female stars in WWE. Where can I continue seeing her? It's one of those things where, again, is the draft more so about freshening up rosters or affirming people's places, even though most of the people in the draft, as far as the way they do it, you already know where they're going. there was no reason for Becky Lynch to even be a part of SmackDown at this point, considering she's in a program right now with Trish Stratus. And she's not going after Bianca Belair. She's not going after Rhea Ripley. She's not even in a championship picture. Heck, she's not even a freaking champion at this point. So this right here was one of those picks that was literally just farm in. But I guess if nothing else, you could say that she's the first non-champion woman pick of the overall WWE Draft, which proves that maybe she is the third most important, well, I guess in this case, second most important female talent in the company. So, I mean, hey, the man stays on Monday nights. But yeah, that pick for me, that was like one that was just farm in because Becky was one, regardless of your draft, my draft, others' draft. I didn't see her switching. No reason to.
No, none at all.
Nah.
So that was it for Triple H's portion of the draft. We then had a match, went to commercial, came back, and we had the fabulous Freebird, Michael P.S. Hayes, joined by Mr. Monday Night, Rob Van Dam.
That was so damn random.
To announce the next set of picks. You know, it was cool seeing RVD out there because he's been kind of making waves lately in the news sites because he's shredded a lot of weight.
Oh.
And looks like he's ready for, maybe one final run. Some company, could Rob Van Dam become All Elite? Could he go back to Impact? Could he have a final run in the WWE? There's been a lot going around, but it was kind of cool to see him show up out of nowhere.
In a suit of all things, which
right?
is more bizarre to me.
Instead of coming out in an airbrush singlet.
Thank you. Again, like I said, this SmackDown, here's a moment for you. This person shows up and call up some names. But seriously,
So Michael PSA's made the first announcement. He was doing the picks for SmackDown. RVD was doing them for Raw. Again, Mr. Monday Night. SmackDown took the Street Profits. Apparently, SmackDown wants the smoke.
It's saying they are former SmackDown Tag Team Champions, but they were only SmackDown Tag Team Champions for a cup of coffee.
Well, they're SmackDown Tag Champions, they're Raw Tag Champions, and they're NXT Tag Champs. They're Triple Crown. This really didn't surprise me when Bianca got moved.
Exactly.
Because Bianca and Tez being married, the three of them being good friends, you see on the social medias, specifically on Instagram, you'll see them going out and doing like baseball game appearances, football game appearances, and it's not just Bianca. It's not just Bianca and Tez. It's all three of them. Almost like a mini stable, even though they're not official on the air or anything, but she's going to be there with her husband. Her husband's going to be there with his tag partner. It just kind of flows. So when Bianca got moved to SmackDown, I figured the Street Profits would get drafted. It was just a matter of at what point. To be the third draft pick overall and the first tag team drafted really, to me, shows what the powers that be think of Tez and Angelo as a unit.
I can't argue that. Again, they are great in-ring workers, but they also are great sellers. And again, you need both marketable value and you need both in-ring value as well to succeed in the WWE. They have all the tools. I guess the only thing for me at this point, considering, again, they have done it all as a tag team, and after what we've been seeing lately with Montez Ford on Raw, not to mention Elimination Chamber, I thought for sure this would be one of the very first tag teams, if not any tag team, they were going to break up. Yeah, I didn't see them obviously separating wrestling couples. They don't do that. But honestly, at this point, I thought they were going to try and pull the trigger and see what Montez Ford could do overall as a singles competitor. But yeah, keeping the Street Profits together, I feel is a very wise move because at the end of the day, the market value is there, the merch value there, the Red Solo Cup value is still there. And it was just a matter of when, particularly for Montez Ford, when you knew that his EST was going to the blue brand. This didn't surprise me, but yeah, I would say right now, your most popular tag team is probably the Street Profits because of their marketable value.
You mentioned about breaking up wrestling couples. Matthew says, is it a spoiler that Seth is probably going to stay on Raw too, since Becky Lynch is over there?
I wouldn't rule it out at this point because another thing you might want to consider. You really think they would put Seth friggin' Rollins and Roman Reigns on the same brand?
It's always possible. Tease a potential Shield reunion. I mean, there's gotta be something to do when the bloodline does in fact dissolve.
Right, they thought that far ahead. That still is up for debate. But yeah, this was cool for me. And again, you look at, like you said, first overall tag team drafted. That shows how important the Street Profits are, but also how much stock they have in the WWE when it comes to higher up approval. So good for them.
And then we talk about units staying together. Number 6, baby.
Oh, baby.
Drafted by RVD. The mat from Raw is sacred as Imperium moves to the red brand.
I love this for a number of reasons. First off, like you said, Mr. Monday Night, a former Intercontinental Champion that won the title on Monday night, drafting, or at least, kayfabe-wise, literally Imperium as a whole to Monday Night Raw is a great move. As the Ring General Walter has run through everybody, it seems, in the current SmackDown mid-card picture. It's a new landscape. It's brand new opportunities. And among the so-called land of giants, Walter is still the most proficient, dynamic wrestler they have on that roster. With Fabian Eichner and, of course, Marcel Mattel, you got the propaganda machine. You got the cruiserweight, heavyweight hybrid. That's another tag team also for, again, the Street Profits. You lost them on Monday Night Raw. You got Imperium in their place. And Imperium, why they have not been yet tag team champions of any sort, I could definitely see Imperium versus KO and Sammy. So for me, I just think you got your most lethal, effective faction for Monday nights out of Imperium going forward. That is until I see what happens with the other. Because, again, we talk about, restructuring the landscape. I also look at balance, heel, face. Let's not forget, as of right now, there is another very effective, very presented heel faction on Monday Night Raw. Now, whether or not both of those factions coexist for a battle of dominance remains to be seen. But at this point, I'm putting my stock more into Imperium than the Judgment Day because you don't bet against the Ring General.
No question, because at the end of the day, and this isn't hateration, it's completely obvious, but Dominic Mysterio is the weak link in the Judgment Day.
Yep.
There is no weak link in Imperium.
No, there isn't at all. I'm so happy for Walter. Congratulations to Imperium, who will now prove that Monday nights are not just about sports entertainment or being more entertaining, but the mat is sacred. And I look at the current landscape, I'm like, that'd be an interesting program.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a move that I made in our fantasy draft on Open Mic Night a week ago. Because my whole point of contention is if they are going to have him eclipse the Honky Tonk Man's record,
which I believe he will,
he needs new challenges.
Exactly.
Like you pointed out, he's pretty much ran through everybody on SmackDown. So now he's got the Raw landscape. If the Judgment stays there, you've got Finn Balor, you've got Damian Priest, you got Dominic Mysterio. You've got just some great talent over there. I don't want to say some names because we got names that are coming over to the brand later on in the draft notes. But I mean, there's some good talent over there now for Walter Gunther to have programs with to really kind of get him through that next 120, 150 days, roughly.
Not to mention, it will allow what the Intercontinental Championship is about, workhorse. Let's see some of the workhorses challenge the Ring General that haven't been presented maybe in a better light. I think about Shelton Benjamin. I think about Johnny Gargano. I want to see what Walter does with Chad Gable. Again, so much potential that actually makes me almost care about tuning into Monday Night Raw right now with the fact they got Imperium.
Absolutely. So then Michael
that's it.
P.S. Hayes made his second announcement for the Blue brand, and they got the Rated R Superstar Edge.
That is a founding father of sorts, you could say, for the Blue brand that redefined it over 20 years ago in the inaugural Clash. You think you know me.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention a former true Big Gold. I'm going to say that for the record. Damn it. But I digress. World Heavyweight Champion. And let's not forget, he also had a program with one tribal chief. There may be a revisit down the line. So Edge being back on Friday nights, SmackDown, watch out.
Yeah, you think about the SmackDown 6 and the men that really helped to establish the identity of the Blue brand. Kurt Angle. Retired. Chris Benoit, deceased. Eddie Guerrero, deceased. Chavo Guerrero, pretty much retired.
Yeah, at this point.
Rey Mysterio, WWE Hall of Famer, still on the Blue brand, technically right now.
For the time being.
Edge, WWE Hall of Famer, just got drafted to the Blue brand. So Edge and Mysterio are the only two that are still in the company from 21 years ago.
Yeah. And the both.
And granted, Ray had that hiatus for a while.
Well,
you know, he was gone for a few years. So it's like Edge has been, with the exception of his announced retirement, consistent.
Right. And again, we also know that he's winding down on his career too. So you wonder what those last plans could be. Could he still maybe want to go after the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship? Or maybe there's another way he wants to end his thing on. Maybe a mutual program with Rey Mysterio, who right now is already leading the future as it is with the whole Latino World Order, Legado del Fantasma. But yeah, Edge back on Friday nights with Rey Mysterio right now. Gives me those old school SmackDown vibes that made me a fan of Team Blue in the first place pretty much most of my life. Because when it came to Team Blue, it was the wrestling show.
I mean, I could see Edge doing a retirement match against Roman Reigns. You know, if I don't win, I retire type of thing.
Right.
I wouldn't want his career to come to an end that cheaply because we know in a situation like that, Roman would win.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't want to execute the same plan for WrestleMania. And with Roman Reigns, again, the face of SmackDown, blah, 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 you know he's got to acknowledge these new faces on his brand, but also potential returning challengers and first-time encounters since his run as the champion. So I wouldn't rule it out, but I wouldn't probably get behind something like that either because it's too damn predictable.
That's fair. That's fair. Something that didn't escape me as far as humor goes, though, was RVD's last choice.
You mean why he had the card upside down?
And the last name that RVD brought to the red brand, the original bro, Matt Riddle.
How much you want to bet they got together before Rob Van Dam got out on stage or afterwards? I'm just saying.
You know, like I said, the irony of the fact that Rob Van Dam,
right?
You know, Mr. Nobody Gets Higher than Rob Van Dam,
more ways than one,
drafted Matt Riddle, bro, was not lost on me in the least. Like, for real, that was so great. I kind of wish Riddle had come out. You know, you think about the old days in the drafts where they would draft somebody and the person would come on stage, kind of shake the person's hand. Like, seeing an on-camera interaction between RVD and Riddle would have been hilarious. I swear to God, dude, if RVD comes back for a limited run in the WWE, they need to make him and Riddle a tag team.
Okay. I can get behind that, bro. I can actually get behind that. That's pretty damn sound like an awesomely cool dynamic. I can get behind that. That sounds pretty cool. But yeah, the original bro still on Monday nights. Again, Matt Riddle right now, he's been stuck in the middle of this whole KO Sammy versus Usos saga with Solo Sikoa and Matt Riddle playing accomplice. Hence why we got another pointless 6-man tag at Backlash. But the thing about this that I do like though is, hey, Matt Riddle, he's on the same brand now as Walter. Let's freaking go. So I mean, being a former United States champion, why not go after the Intercontinental Championship for the first time ever? So I kind of like the fact that he's staying on Monday nights. If nothing else, I could definitely see him taking on Imperium.
That's fair. I mean, Riddle staying on Raw wasn't a huge surprise to me.
Nah.
But at the same time, like, I think he could have used the fresh change of scenery, personally. Been able to have matches against Pete Dunne, matches against Sheamus, another match against Roman, maybe have to get through Solo first to get there. Like, I think Riddle could have really benefited by the change, but I feel like as long as Brock is on Raw, there's still always the possibility of that MMA feel fight
True.
between Lashley and Riddle.
True.
Or excuse me, Lesnar and Riddle.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Lashley's picture because he's the next draft pick.
I'm about to say, hey, you just put the next, but yeah, to go back to your point. To be fair, Brawling Brutes were not part of the draft pool at all for day one. We could see what happened on day two. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this one really surprised me, and personally, I'm glad because after what happened with him at WrestleMania, bullshit. Now he definitely has a whole new reset on life, and that is one person that has not acknowledged Roman Reigns' title run or opposed it. As you said, let's go ahead and just put it up. The almighty Bobby Lashley is coming to Friday nights.
Yeah, at this point, we had JBL and the former SmackDown general manager, Mr. Holla Holla Teddy Long.
That's my player, man. That's my player. Greatest GM of all time. That's my player.
At least when they drafted Bobby Lashley, they didn't say he was going to go one-on-one with the Undertaker.
Well, I mean,
but
yeah,
those two coming out again. JBL and Teddy Long, such history. Of course, Teddy Long, longtime companion to Ron Simmons. So the three of them would always ride together from city to city, town to town during the Acolytes days.
At the bar, who got left with the bill? Let's just put that out there.
Right, probably Teddy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, the almighty Bobby Lashley again. You figure you've immediately got a program there for Roman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure what else main event wise there is for him just yet. I want to see what happens with the rest of the shakeup and the draft picks. But
yeah, exactly. Because let's also put this in mind. Raw's always been known as the land of the giants. Well, you just got one of your biggest giants / main eventers now on the blue brand. That's a force to be reckoned with, title picture or not.
Yeah. And then going over to the Raw brand, and this one kind of intrigued me. I'm not going to lie. Teddy Long drafted to the red brand, Drew McIntyre.
The Scottish psychopath, Scottish warrior, Braveheart reincarnated himself, the former chosen one. As soon as Drew McIntyre got drafted to Raw, immediately my brain went, ding! Okay, he's either going to go after the Intercontinental Championship by himself at some point, but considering he lost out at WrestleMania, I don't think that's happening. Or, rumor has it, he's going heel, and that's going to be the next big program, not the first championship program for one Cody Rhodes. You think about Drew McIntyre being the people's, main guy during the pandemic in front of nobody, just a bunch of people virtually. Got his moment in front of nobody. And he's still been going strong since, but he's kind of been just muttering around. And now he has a new leash on life to redefine himself on the Raw brand. But this time, not necessarily for them, but for himself. In my opinion, Drew McIntyre was literally one that, like, yeah, this is a new fresh lease on life for this guy because he doesn't have to roll with anybody. He could be his own force to be reckoned with. And with the fact we know that Raw will have some sort of championship, you got to consider him being a top contender, being a former WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
Or possibly the first champion.
Possibly. He can make history. Possibly.
I mean, and Matthew addressing
that feels so one-dimensional versus SmackDown.
And Matthew addressing the elephant in the room here, part of what made this surprising to me is the rumors about Drew leaving. He hasn't negotiated a new contract. As far as everybody knew, his contract was going to expire and he was out. With this draft move, could this be a condition of him signing a new deal? We'll have to see. It would be interesting to make that much of a deal about drafting him and moving him just for him to be gone in 4 months.
Exactly. It's almost like he's just farming it in just because, or maybe he wants to work with one particular individual because, again, we may be connected to everything, but we don't know everything all the time because we're not revealed that. So, yeah, because as soon as WrestleMania ended, I thought Drew was basically done. I thought he was just going to take time off and let his contract ride out.
I wouldn't have put it past him.
No, not considering his experience. But hey, Drew McIntyre back on the red brand. I would say if he re-signed an extension, that's a great new lease on life to redefine himself as maybe once again a champion. Chosen by himself, not by others.
And then moving over to SmackDown, JBL's next pick. The entirety of the OC.
Keyword entirety, folks. AJ Styles, the guy that redefined and built the house of Friday nights. SmackDown 2016. And then you have the OC, California, Luke Giles and Carl Anderson. And then basically their newest running mate. That adds another female talent to the SmackDown side of things, considering that SmackDown at this point didn't even have a division. Mia Yim. So, yeah, talk about a big coup for SmackDown. 4 people at once. A former WWE champion that spearheaded SmackDown was a face of it, not to mention his program with Roman Reigns in 2016. And then, of course, you have another tag team now, Luke Giles, Carl Anderson. They have tag team experience up the wazoo. Former Raw tag team champions, might I add. And Mia Yim, where kind of at this point, besides her initial Rhea Ripley counter factor, she really hasn't done anything else.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's kind of been like Liv Morganing it here recently, where she's just been thrown in random tag team pairings with people. Most recently, Candice LeRae. And it's just like, what?
What?
This doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And let's also keep this in mind. She wasn't even involved in WrestleMania when they had the random 4 teams.
And then, we saw AJ Styles make his return tonight.
Which really surprised me because I wasn't sure what the state of his injury was. But, oh, yeah, he's definitely clear to compete. Good deal.
Definitely. It's cool seeing him back on the brand, seeing him back in the action. As soon as their music hit, I was like, okay, is he there? And there he was right out front with his hood on and everything. I was like, ugh. The phenomenal one has returned, baby.
Yeah, some have been lacking in WWE without the phenomenal one, I tell you that much. So I'm glad to see AJ Styles back. And again, he has history with Roman Reigns.
Well, yeah, when he made his debut freaking in the Rumble.
Exactly.
It's like it goes back to that. Like there's long-term storytelling right there.
Like I said, so far, I'll say so far, there's a little bit of optimism with me out of this draft for a few of these picks coming out of day one. This was one of them.
And AJ is one of the names that isn't on Roman's defeated, for this run is undisputed champion. Like Almost
Exactly.
1,000 days, and AJ Styles is not one of those names.
Neither is Bobby Lashley.
Yep. So there's a couple of really good viable contenders now to try to push the angle for the next few months.
Yeah.
And then the last one from this segment, we had Teddy Long drafting The Miz to stay on Raw.
Okay, this
And
was a
I
bit.
mean,
Come on now. Becky Lynch, farm pick number 2. Do you really, really expect The Miz to go to Friday nights considering the current landscape and they already got a loudmouth on the mic? Come on now. He literally is the voice of Monday Night Raw. Let's just put it out there.
he is the voice of Monday Night Raw, but again, it's another name not in Roman's belt. Miz
Fair.
is a 2-time Grand Slam champion, the first ever. While he may come off as comedic and not worthy to even bend down and attempt to tie the tribal chief's boots,
Right?
he does have an accolade that Hogan doesn't have, Austin doesn't have, Rock doesn't have, Cena doesn't have. Like, you think about the goats in this business, The Miz has an accolade that they don't have.
Yeah, I do that.
So, I mean, you never want to count The Miz out. He's just sneaky and smarmy enough that when you have him counted out, he will find a way to lock you up. Skull crushing finale. 1, 2, 3.
A successful Money in the Bank winner, might I add, too, as well. And I would definitely not count that out. And also, like I said, I think I've said this with you countless times on camera. Before Walter, the last person that actually made me care about the Intercontinental Championship to quite a degree, and he was holding the classic white belt to my tab, which, God, I wish they would bring that back. It was The Miz. He almost made that more important than the WWE Championship during his time on SmackDown alone in 2016. So I will not put a lesser value on The Miz with what he's done versus what he's doing now. At this point, though, he's just in a comfortable spot. Raw is his home.
Absolutely. But I wouldn't put it against them to put him in the tournament or contention for the new World Heavyweight Championship.
I don't know how deep this bracket's going to be, but I mean, seriously, at this point, you got to have Cody. You got to have, who's not drafted yet, Seth. You got to have freaking Miz. And I would say you got to have probably Finn Balor, who's been trying to recruit Cody in the Judgment Day. You're right, that's going to work. So right there, you already got 2 key matches right there, 4 key competitors. So, I mean, again, it's one of those things where right now I'm just waiting to see a bracket because when it comes to tournaments and WWE's track record of execution versus presentation, one usually works, the other doesn't. But sounds like this is being spearheaded by Triple H. So again, I'm being a bit more optimistic.
That's fair. And there's another person coming up here in a moment that I expect to see in that tournament bracket as well.
Definitely.
But before we get to him, let's kick off the last portion of the draft. At this point, we had the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and the Road Dogg, Jesse James, coming out to do this. And of course, HBK runs NXT now. Road Dogg, backstage agent. We've actually seen him do some stuff for NXT as well.
I was like, okay.
You think about when they did the Iron Survivor match last year.
Challenge.
He was there picking some of the names and giving thoughts along with Medusa. And I want to say Sean Waltman was there as well.
Yeah, it was Sean Waltman because I remember you told me about that. But as soon as I saw these 2 on my screen, I was like, okay, so this is the round that we're getting the NXT call-ups. It was just a matter of who would win. And we were debilitating about this in my HCW crew. We were like, okay, it's going to be JJ McDonough. It's going to be Karen Grimes. It's going to be Ilya Dragunov, Zoe Stark. It's going to be Roxanne Perez. Heck, it might even be the freaking Pretty Deadly and ... Oh, we
Yeah.
got NXT call-ups, all right,
We'll
but
get
not
there in a minute.
entirely. Not
We'll,
entirely.
we'll get there in a minute. But first, the first people that got drafted, Shawn Michaels drafted to the blue brand, Damage Control.
All I'm going to say is this. Bailey is going to make Michael Cole's life a living hell, and Wade Barrett couldn't be happier. So just because of that reaction by Wade Barrett, I'm actually okay with this pick. Not to mention, we talked about for the longest time, Damage Control has become damaged goods on the Raw brand. How do you fix something that's broken? You reset it. And we still don't know the state of Damage Control in the long haul, considering, again, as Chad was talking about earlier, Io Sky is the number one contender to challenge Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. And after Backlash, both of those women, so far as we know, will officially be on the blue brand together. One of them, I have to imagine, with a strap. But it still begs the question, does this mean that Damage Control is on the verge of separating, or are they all going to try and go their own way on the blue brand to take over? Like they tried on the red brand, and 2/3 was more successful 2 times over versus the other parts. So, again, Damage Control kind of needed the move. And looking at the way this draft's been going so far, it feels like SmackDown is finally building a realistic, in-depth women's division.
Matthew with an interesting take here. He says Damage Control became damaged goods because of Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
So you draft them to the same show with the person that destroyed them in the first place.
Yeah, that was my other concern too, but I also think about it like this. Clearly, it's not feuding with Bianca, and Bianca is doing a one-on-one match with Io. If Damage Control can take themselves through different routes on the SmackDown side that doesn't have Bianca Belair always at the center, then maybe, just maybe, there's promise of rejuvenation for them. Or again, they're damaged goods just waiting to fall apart and each go their separate ways. I think Backlash is going to be the determining note with Damage Control's long-term future. It all comes down if Io Sky can beat the EST and whether or not they get a red belt or a blue belt.
That's fair. So the next person that got drafted, the Road Dogg Jesse James, drafted to the Raw brand, the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura.
And
the man who I alluded to, that I expect to see his name in the tournament in contention for the new Raw World Heavyweight Championship.
But considering he hasn't had a friggin' World Championship since the NXT Championship and the Black and Gold brand, long fracking overdue, and also he is a former World Rumble winner. Heck, he challenged AJ Styles, that was under my match versus Wrestle Kingdom 10, there I said it, at WrestleMania 34. So Shinsuke Nakamura, who recently came back, by the way, it's like, okay, he came back, he had a match on SmackDown. Yay, what's next? Well, now he's on Raw. Again, a guy that's been in need of a redirection, and maybe Raw could be the brand to do that. And Matthew, I don't know. Yes, it's a fun package, but I don't think Shinsuke needs to be in a tag team. He needs to redefine himself why he is called the King of Strong Style. And if it means I get Shinsuke versus Walter at some point, then yes, please. So, yeah, I'm glad to see Shinsuke back on the red brand under his normal face theme as well, because the heel thing kind of fell apart.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I would want to see him and Boogs back together is so Boogs could play him to the ring each night.
Fair enough.
Like, for real, that was so awesome seeing them together doing that. You know, in my personal opinion, Boogs hasn't been the same since being separated from Shinsuke.
I do agree about that.
You know, Shinsuke doesn't need Boogs. Boogs needs Nakamura.
Yeah. Otherwise, he's trying to be a two-man band with Elias.
You know, and whether they do the tag team thing or they do individual things, and, you know, maybe Shinsuke goes after the world belt and Boogs comes after the IC title.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
You know, I like the thought of them together, and you could even fill it out into a trios by having Boogs and Elias come in with Shinsuke, and then you've got a potential world and tag team champions.
That'd be a very unique 3-person summit, especially if that means that for whatever reason, Boogs and Elias, keyword Elias, decide to play Shinsuke out together. And last time I checked, Elias has never played an electric guitar. But again, it's something that is different, is new. It's a reset for all three, too. But I'm not going to lie, though. Boogs is a freakishly strong man. I want to see what he can do now with Walter Knowledge. You put that in my mind. I didn't even think about that. That sounds awesome.
Right? All right, let's see what's going on here.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. You're right. Funny enough, he has never been part of the Red Brand. It is a first. I'll be darned. Each time he's came back, he has only been on SmackDown. That's crazy, considering he's been kind of part of SmackDown since, was it 2017 he had the match with Dolph Ziggler? Yeah, I think that's when he first came up. I didn't even think about that. I guess because it says Titantron's red. I figured he had some sort of altercation at some point on Raw.
Right.
But anyway, there you go.
And then we get to the interesting parts, the parts that I really sat up and took notice to, because again, you see Shawn Michaels come out here.
Yep.
There's been zero NXT the entire night, and it's like, okay, Shawn Michaels is here. This is where the NXT is going to come in.
It had to. And
Shawn Michaels, said very kind of somberly how much it hurts him to do this. But the new draft pick for SmackDown, the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
What the fuck? They just won the damn titles.
And
you
of course,
drafted NXT champions. That means they have to relinquish the titles.
And they don't have to relinquish them.
Yeah.
They were immediately challenged at the Performance Center by Katana Chance and Caden Carter for this week on NXT.
But let's be realistic here, JJ.
I was gonna hold on a second, though.
All right, I'll let you finish.
I definitely see the writing on the wall and how it would look obvious that they will drop the titles to them. However, I've also been reading rumblings, so take what you can with a grain of salt.
All right.
That this is not going to stay as a cohesive unit for long. What if we get Io and Dakota versus them?
It would be a cool match. But
with Io and Dakota possibly going down for a little while.
That would be the only reason I could see that happening. But it also comes down to this. Is NXT looked at somewhat as an equal to the other two brands? Shawn Michaels, kayfabe or not, he is the guy that leads your NXT. And he's the guy that's been doing everything possible to build what I still stand by, the better women's division in the WWE. Mm-hmm. NXT. By the way, so Ruka get well soon. But the fact of the matter is, drafting NXT women's champions that just got the damn belts. What the fuck? Of all the names I said, none of those names was these two. None of them. I figured, okay, they're the tag champs. Get them a run and see what can happen. See what other tag team you can develop. Organically develop. Hey, there's a crazy concept for you. That can actually take the titles off them. And you just did like that. What? Seriously, that threw me for a loop. I mean, if they weren't champions, I know Isla Dawn and Alba Fire are highly experienced. But I also know Raquel Rodriguez has lost the freaking WWE Women's Tag Team Championships now like 2 or 3 damn times. And right now, while you have NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, you've got current WWE Women's Tag Team Champions without challengers. So at this point, if they don't farm it in on Tuesday and your booking does happen, okay, that'd be pretty cool. But it sounds like to me, they're just going to do Ala Dawn and Alba Fire versus Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan out of nowhere. And one of these two teams is going to end up on the losing end, which is going to hurt, I feel, either the new call-ups momentum or once again hurt Raquel's momentum, where I feel like she needs to quit smiling, go on her own as a singles, and Liv Morgan gets lost in the shuffle. This is weird. This was a pick that, okay, Draft, you surprised me, but I don't think this pick was necessary.
What if they do a title unification match?
Then it would tell
thereby making the women's tag team titles in something that's on par across all brands, where NXT tag teams, as you said, the more defined division, has a chance at going against 11 Raquel.
Right. I could see that, because at the end of the day, I still stand by it. WWE does not need two sets of women's tag team titles when one set is for a non-existent thrown together women's tag team division and the other set is for an enclosed, more fine-tuned women's tag team division. So to make them just be the WWE women's tag team champions, don't even throw a dispute in there, just women's tag team champions, then yeah, you would make me believe they actually would look like NXT on an equal level, if not maybe proving ground for that. I know one time they tried it before, though, and like I said, I still stand by it. This was not during, by the way, I think when you were watching. It was the Dusty Tag Classic. I believe it was, oh God, what was it? Shayna and Nia, put that one in your head, taking on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez for the, was it the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship or the WWE Women's Tag? Either way, WWE official Adam Pearce and all the shenanigans possible made sure that NXT lost that. Thus, they were not looked at as equal. Now, truth be told, that was a more heavily produced Vince McMahon WWE. So, again, trying to be optimistic, because some of this draft is making me a little bit optimistic for the future. But bottom line, don't need two sets of women's tag team titles. And you drafted the prolific women's tag team champions up to the Raw and SmackDown roster. You better make this work.
Yeah, I definitely don't think we need two sets of tag team championships. The WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, the ones that Liv and Raquel currently hold, have been a shit show since the Sasha and Naomi incident from last year, if not before that.
Yeah, they definitely hit bottom when they hit that incident. I'll tell you that much.
So, we talk about, you've mentioned a few times how the draft is a reset.
Right.
I think having a match at Backlash with Liv and Raquel versus Alba and Isla to unify those straps and then have them be defended across all three brands would be a hell of a reset. You think about, Damage Control. You think about Caden and Katana. You think about, I know it's hard to even think of women's tag teams because the main roster has just done such a shitty job.
I'll say, how many times?
But I mean,
you got right now.
Well, and then you got Kiana and Fallon, who just freaking broke up in NXT. You have JC and Gigi, who broke up in NXT. You have Cora and Roxanne, who fell apart a week after winning the title. So,
Right.
It's like there's definitely some work to be done. But I think, and we'll go ahead and jump now to the last draft pick.
This
And Road Dogg with the line of the entire fucking night. I know you didn't watch it, but Road Dogg was like, Sean, I don't know if you could lose your smile twice, but if you can, Indy Hartwell to Raw might be just what does it. And Indy and Candice, now that All the Way will be on Raw, at least for the time being.
It's one of those things where, again, that is your fucking women's champion. Yes, I've said it countless times. Longest tenured, probably most respected female competitor in your NXT. But she finally achieved the goal of being a singles champion in WWE and has been, truth be told, impressive, including that triple threat. Well done. Why she has a bad leg, by the way, if you didn't know, it's wearing a cast. I want to see her continue to grow and see how she handles this responsibility. Well, that got thrown out the window. And why I do understand where you're coming from, the way being former women's tag team champions in NXT. I don't want to see Indy Hartwell relegated just to that because I just don't see the way going about that way to get all the gold, per se. Not to sound like Dr. Seuss. In my opinion, Indy Hartwell deserved a chance to prove how far she could have gone in this run. Why Raw might use her as just tag team or love angle with some other couple that might get drafted. Who the frick knows? Because Dexter Lumis is still on Raw as well. But that overall to me was the biggest shocker of the entire night. And yes, I'm happy for her. Don't get me wrong. I mean, when you go to WWE with that dream, keyword dream, you do hope to achieve being a part of, the Raw and SmackDown, the grandest stages of them all. Now, Indy Hartwell has ascended to that. But again, she is literally Shawn Michaels' current NXT Women's Champion when almost felt like a vacated one was being crowned in a multi-individual ladder match. I know not a champions for crowning a brand new champion for Raw. Shawn Michaels might well use Battleground to crown brand new women's champions at this point. Because in the span of 60 seconds, Shawn Michaels lost his spearheads of his entire women's division. And I'm worried that Indy Hartwell, God help me, will get lost in the shuffle. Because when it comes to Monday Night Raw and what I've seen lately from the women's division on Raw, it's been highly underbooked. If that trend continues, this NXT darling is in serious trouble. I wanted her to have a long run with this title. I see how much she deserves it and how much she's willing to fight for it. But I do think she has incredible potential on the main roster. It comes down to if they book her properly. I'm worried, but I'm happy. But I'm also fucking shocked. And Shawn Michaels, I don't blame him. I would have thrown the card up too, because as soon as I heard the name, I was like, what the fuck? That was crazy. Indy Hartwell, current NXT Women's Champion, off to Monday Night Raw. The fuck?
I mean, something in my gut told me that the way was going to end up back together. So this didn't shock me all that much. But at the same time, it's like I see what you're saying, and maybe that's exactly what Battleground will be, is that it'll be, a crowning, if you will, of new champions for the NXT brand, a reboot in of itself.
You might as well just call it Breaking Ground then. Good grief.
I mean, you figure all that's left now is the NXT champion Carmelo Hayes, the North American champion Wes Lee, and the tag team champions.
If they draft Carmelo Hayes, I swear I'm going to lose it.
I don't think they'll draft Carmelo Hayes because despite how ready we feel he is, for some reason the powers that be don't feel he's there yet.
Right, I know we've talked about that. And he's in that program right now with Braun Breaker. We know Braun Breaker has a match with him to come at Battleground. Why people think Braun Breaker, he's main roster ready. He just turned heel. Let's see what the character dynamic goes. All right? Seriously.
I think the championship that is most in jeopardy for the men is your boys, the Gallus boys.
No. I'm
just saying it. Don't tell me that they couldn't inject a serious boost to the tag division on the main roster. The Gallus Boys versus the Viking Raiders. The Gallus Boys versus Alpha Academy. The Gallus Boys versus the Street Profits.
But they're the
Gallus versus the LWO. Gallus versus the Judgment Day. Gallus versus Imperium.
They're the current tag tag team champs again defeated the Purpose. It just, come on, man. I don't know. And yes, I mean, come on now. In my kingdom, the freaking Gallus firm and Joe Coffey. I mean, give me renew Imperium versus Gallus. I get it, but come on. Again, if Shawn Michaels is going to try and redefine the future, which apparently he's already done a bang up enough job with because he just lost his freaking champions, he needs to have freaking champions prove their worth and continue to grow. Gallus boys just got on top in February. Let the run continue, all right? I don't want to see a champion just relinquish their title because they got moved to a brand where they're at risk of being lost in the shuffle. Because NXT is still very small fish in bigger pond. Now Indy Hartwell has to swim with sharks. And who knows what other sharks might get drafted there. And I don't want to see her just relegated to tag team if they aren't going to give the tag team the respect they deserve. And Raw hasn't done that with women's tag teams. They haven't. I'm worried that you put Gallus out there. Seriously, I was surprised pretty deadly. Okay, they were throwing the trunk and sleeping with the fishes. They could have hauled the car out of Corpus Christi and from the friggin' water into the desert and brought the guys back to life. You kidding me? I was literally dead set on Pretty Deadly being drafted tonight. And they weren't.
Just wait for Raw.
I'm worried. I got optimism. I got anxiety. And these last two picks especially kind of hurt me because these three talents I have tremendous respect for. I support their growth and development, but they weren't your freaking champions. Now Sean has to reset again.
Hey,
ridiculous.
I mean, the great thing about my NXT is that even if Gallus were to get drafted, there's enough other tag teams back down there that can pick up the strap and run with it. You know, you've still got the Creeds. You've still got, for right now, you know, assuming Gallus gets drafted and none of the other teams do. Let's just throw that out there.
Yeah, it is. Let's just put it out
You've still got Pretty Deadly. You've still got the Creeds. You've still got Chase U.
Oh, I forgot about that.
You've still got the Dyad. You know, Schism. You've still got
the family.
Thank you. Tony and Stacks. You've got the family. You've got at least one other Chase U contingent because you can always go between Andre and Duke or Andre and Tyler Bate or Tyler Bate and Duke. Like there's a lot of different ways that you can try and slice that up. You've got
yeah, I suppose.
You can put together something like Axiom and Dragon Lee.
You got Brooks Jensen and Josh Brisbane together too.
No, you don't.
Well, you don't?
Not after spring break, and you don't. They fought each other. Oh. There's been a splinter between them.
Oh. Well, and WWE brings them in their tag team. Shocking.
And it all came down to a woman.
Well, what's a woman in a man's life? Just saying. What do I don't know. I'm single. I'm solo. I walk alone. And I choose to do that. Anyway, either way. Okay. I had another team. What's that one team that was once had a chance? The Milik and freaking what's the other dude's name? They're sometimes just hopping around backstage.
I'm not sure.
Again, I don't know your NXT. It's not my NXT. But anyway, again, I'm very optimistic. I'm trying to be optimistic for WWE with this draft. But what they just did with that NXT, I'm like, okay, that's freaking damn. Well, Shawn Michaels' work just went up in smoke. So, yeah, I guess we'll see what happens on Raw and the supplement. If this supplementary draft actually has another NXT call-up, I'll be shocked. That's I'll just put that out there. I'll be freaking shocked.
I'm going to go ahead and address Daniel's I don't think Ava Rain's going to get drafted.
Way too soon.
Yet nothing against Simone Johnson, but she is greener than Jade Cargill.
She's only had one actual in-ring match as part of the faction, the Dyad. She has not had a singles program or a single match yet. And honestly, I thought she was going to take on Thea Hill, who I believe is also recovering from injury. Too much decaf. So, I mean, again.
I love Thea.
I know you do. She has too much energy for her own good, damn it. But I digress. Again, she can be something. But if you're going to make something happen, you don't just rush it and feed it to be literally obliterated. Can you imagine her right now trying to contend, not promo, but contend with the likes of Rhea Ripley, Charlotte, Flair, Becky Lynch,
Natalia,
Bayley, Asuka? She would be chewed out.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I could think that she would even pose a chance is if she formed some kind of stable with Charlotte, with Natty, the daughters of type of thing, and had a little female legacy style stable. Tamina Snuka.
Tamina didn't even get drafted yet.
But I mean, you figure you got 4 right there.
Yeah.
That would be a decent little stable, and you'd be able to protect her behind the awesomeness that is Charlotte and Natty, and to a lesser extent, Tamina.
Right. So I'm just going to put this out there, though, also. Since we know the KC Squared connection is going to challenge the current NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, because, again, these drafts are not made official till after Backlash, so they got one more week in your NXT. I do wonder if Indy Hartwell is going to be called out, even though I don't think she's medical critical P. Just saying that out there. Or Shawn Michaels going to be like, so proud of you, but I got they're going to have to handle Indy a very particular way, and I feel like it might be similar to the way that Paige was handled when she beat AJ Lee on Monday Night Raw. She wasn't even drafted. She just beat the freaking woman the day after WrestleMania. So, again, it's one of those things where I'm going to be optimistic, but I'm a little bit concerned right now when it comes to this NXT in the main roster environment.
That's fair. Even though we are starting to wind things down, Jeff just popped in.
Hey, good old JM.
Did you freeze on us, Jeff?
The spinning circle stopped, so I don't know if it's loading. Let's see. They're right there. While we wait for that, Daniel likes your idea, but he almost faces the reincarnated Nation of Domination.
No.
Now, Nation of Domination
it would more be a legacy type of thing.
Yeah, Nation of Domination was more a united front. And again, that was Farouk that was spearheading that thing. It was just Rocky Maivia that just freaking became the guy out of it. It's one of those things where I feel like your idea, JJ, feels like generational type of, balancing / promoting. Almost like what Evolution, basically was. We kind of, underneath Ric Flair and Triple H. And then I think about Legacy with what Randy Orton did, get well soon, with Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase. Well, at least one of those men actually succeeded and became something. So, I mean, what would you even call this? Can't call it Evolution. Generation? I don't even know what you would call that thing. But yeah, that's definitely not a Nation of Domination type dealie. Nor a League of Nations, and we all saw how that fell apart at WrestleMania 32. So, I mean, it's a cool idea, but I just don't know. And again, all the names that I was figured that were going to be called up. Nope, the women's champs, all the women's champions. Again, the draft was surprising and compelling by the end. But seriously, it did not need to be part of a SmackDown with a bunch of filler nonsense.
King Mike, what was it about the format that you didn't like? Because I thought the format was actually pretty good the way they handled it. I'm
Yeah.
curious to know what it was about the format that you didn't like.
Was it the SmackDown filler and the fact that it just felt like it dragged out what it did with only 4 rounds versus 7 rounds last year of 5 picks? Was it the fact that there wasn't a lot of NXT call-ups and they farmed a couple of picks in? Give us some details, Mike. I'm curious because I kind of been talking about since the beginning. I mean, again, make a match matter, generational computer, pick a brand pick, or you got WWE Network on Peacock, make it a standalone thing like the NFL draft is a freaking thing. It just felt like, again, this draft was just hybrid into a SmackDown episode that was very just lackluster. And between all the advertising commercials, I was just trying to drink my Mountain Dew to stay awake for this thing instead of just waiting to everything on YouTube. So hopefully Raw, oh God, Raw, fuck me. Hopefully that 3 hours actually has more rounds and more depth and more focus on the draft than a bunch of pointless filler nonsense. By filler nonsense, I mean actual in-ring action versus promo. Again, 3 hours. You already have a tough enough time creating 3 hours of compelling television on a week. Now I'm supposed to believe you got a hybrid good show coming up with a draft and a Monday Night Raw? Dish. There are no real GMs. I don't understand why they made it seem like people were being drafted when everyone was being picked by the same right. Yeah, at least, with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan and Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon, it felt like, oh, okay, individual pick. I've been saying it for the longest time. One thing that defines an individual brand is the leader. WWE only has one damn official for the entire company. That's on screen for both shows. And he wasn't even involved in none of the calls tonight.
That's true. That's fair.
And farming it in. Just
I have
farming
a
it in.
feeling. I have a feeling that Raw is going to have a lot of the same type of filler matches, but the very least, I feel like we'll get the entire Raw draft portion done on the air, and there won't have to be a supplemental portion, say on like the bump,
I hope you're right.
because of the extra hour.
Mm-hmm. But also, JJ.
I mean, you look at the names that were available that didn't get drafted today, and
let's go
realistically,
let's go ahead and talk about them real quick, because this is what's going to happen on Friday SmackDown Throwdown nonsense. I don't know what the fuck they call it.
Realistically, there weren't a whole lot of names that didn't get picked.
Yeah, I mean, besides the most compelling names, if I can say that, is maybe the Viking Raiders with Valhalla and Candice. Well, I can see Candice not staying on freaking Raw. Let's see. You got Mustafa Ali, Omos, Dexter Lumis, Dolph Ziggler, Massey, Monsieur, Maxine, Chelsea Green, Candice LeRae, Eric Ivar, Shotzi Sonic, Top Dollar, why is it still exists? B-Fab, Ivar, Lacey Evans, why she still exists? Natalia, Sawyer Deville, and Valhalla. Hi, Jeff.
Hey! How's it going, guys?
It's 2:44 a.m. on a Saturday morning, but we're all right. Talking about draft and undrafted and still to be drafted and draft presentation. Draft.
So the only draft I'm worried about is the draft at the bar, but that's a whole other topic. So, I saw they separated Roman and Cody. People losing their minds over that. Why?
Because they feel like they didn't finish the story, and they feel like, okay, they didn't finish the story, so now they're never going to finish the story. I feel that's the initial thought towards it, Jeff.
Because they can't do Money in the Bank just for a month or anything. Fucking people relax. Fuck.
I think they just don't associate Money in the Bank with a face being successful.
Money in the Bank is the fucking gateway key to gateway. The way I feel on gateway is probably not the right word, but seriously, just y'all need to do what us King and Jay. I love the shirt. Y'all gotta trust what the Kings do. Trust the process. Fucking relax. If Cody's meant to be the champion by the end of this year, he'll be the champion. If he's not, it's okay. He will be WWE champion. They can't bring him back and not be the champion. I'm sure he wrote it in blood in his contract or something, so he'll be there.
The funny thing is the blood thing is probably realistic.
Well, considering they're going to separate the bloodline, because Gee, the Usos lost. Who didn't see that shit coming, right?
Right. I mean, hindsight's 2020, Jeff. I mean, you're asking the internet to relax on something in the wrestling business? Are you insane?
Well, to be fair, I'm extraordinarily relaxed right now. So that's, I'm probably a little biased in my opinion at this point of the day.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's a fair analysis. I'm not gonna lie.
It's like I'm at a club I've been coming to for 20 years, and I'm out with a gorgeous woman, and I have zero fucks to give. And I'm going to the hockey game tomorrow, and either I'm gonna go enjoy the celebration of them getting one more game out of this series, or I'm gonna be consoled for their lack of win. Either way, it's a good fucking weekend, like for real.
Hey, good deal. Sometimes you just need that. So have fun, man.
I am, but I saw it, like, I don't know, like, the first Jay's like, you're going to pop in? I'm like, dude, I clicked the link, and I was literally in the can. I didn't realize I clicked the link. That's how fucking gone I am right now. And I'm loving that I can do that, because I've got, like, if it is a Friday night, I ain't got no kid. He's with his mom. I ain't got no job, because I work Sunday. I ain't got shit to do. So I'm here having fun. Fuck it.
Hey, there you go. Once in a while, you do that.
Hey, you do what you do, and we're going to continue to hang out in front of Titan Towers that's been taken over by the network, so you know.
Hey, you know what, though? Titan Tower needs our presence because ain't nobody there no more because the new one, like the new one's not as cool. So if we can get the old Titan Tower and make it relevant again, I am here for that shit. We will take our payouts because we're getting paid every month. We're like, you know what? We're going to buy Titan Tower now. Fuck that shit.
That's a hell of a lease.
We're going to go back east and make that shit happen.
Oh, Lord. Fair enough.
That may be the Cape Cod and the Jack and Coke talking, but I'm not going to cop to anything till tomorrow.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, nothing's written.
No. The only thing written is, like, clearly I'm in the red light district, apparently. So it is what it is. It's all good. It's all good. But seriously, so, Jay, just for reference, since I'm on the air anyway, I got my schedule for next weekend. I don't work Saturday, which is fucking awesome. I can be part of Backlash and open mic night and all the things. And then I got to be at work Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, so fuck me, right?
Oh,
hey, you know, it happens.
It happens.
But you know what? I will enjoy calling the Puerto Rico show because that looks like a pretty fun card at the end of the day. And then I get to go big money at the House of Mouse. Not a bad weekend for good old JM.
No, not at all.
At all.
Now, we've got a pretty good weekend in store for us here across the multiverse as well.
I saw that. There's a good, solid, like, there's not a whole lot of, like, set, like, we're going to do these topics tomorrow, but it's going to be fun. And that's what Black Knight was always supposed to be about.
It still is.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go have fun, and y'all close it out. Noah, I know you're full of positivity right now. I am the most positive I've ever been, I think, since I first started working with you, dude. JJ knows how long a journey it's been for me to get in this smiley a mood, and I'm going to embrace it as long as I can for as long as I can consciously do it.
Good
There
deal.
you go, sir. You have fun.
I love you guys. I will see you not tomorrow because Saturday's going to be even crazier because either the Kings are going to win and we're going to party or they're going to lose and I'm going to get consolation sex. So either way, it's good. So we're good. But I will see you guys next week for sure. I love you both.
All right, man. You take it easy. Have a good one. We've lost Noah. Damn it, me.
Consolation! What the fuck? God! Oh my God, I've never heard it like that in my life. I didn't know that was a thing. What the fuck? That sounds like something out of Pineapple Express in Vegas. Jesus. What? All right. Well, that's a hell of a finishing statement. And a consolation prize. I'm fine. My chair is not spinning out of control, and I don't have shots for freaking laser beams, beams. But I'm fine. I'm fine. Oh my. Whoa. I did not expect to ever hear that on the air. That's too hot for even friggin' Jerry Springer to talk about. R.I.P. He's probably had clients with that type of nonsense come to that with his show. Okay, we're going off in the weeds. Well, that's going to be part of the clip package. James Hebert, I'm making it official. Please make that part of the clip package. Matthew, appreciate you. Get some rest. Good night to you, too. For those that don't know, the JJ lost connection, but he will be right back momentarily. So as we, oh my gosh. Elizabeth, have fun watching New Japan Pro Wrestling. I know we got the freaking, oh my God. I'm so broken. JPW and Noah, yeah, both coming up. Good Lord Almighty. And no sleep for the wrestling fans. Take care, Elizabeth. Take care, Daniel. So yeah, that was day one, folks. So again, for those that are just tuning in, to sum up, draft day one, SmackDown got Paul Heyman, Souls Club, Roman Reigns, the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, the Street Profits, Montez Ford, Angela Dawkins, Radar Superstar Edge, the Almighty Bobby Lashley, the OC in its entirety, Luke Gallows, Carlson, AJ Styles, and Meechum via Yim, Damage Control in their entirety, Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai, Michael Cole, Michael Batch drinking after this, and the current NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. By the way, Michael Cole, botch. Get her damn name right, damn it. You're not a robot anymore. You're not as robotic as you used to be. At least I have to think so. And then Raw got the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, the Man, Becky Lynch, Imperium in its entirety, the Intercontinental Champion, Walter, Fabian Eitner, and Marcel Bartel, the original Bro, Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, The Miz, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the current NXT Women's Champion, Indy Hartwell. And to be determined on the Saturday morning to freaking whatever the fuck that show is on the network by that one dude. To be drafted, Mustafa Ali, Omos, Dexter Loomis, Dolph Ziggler, Cass Ray, Chelsea Green, and Maximum Male models in their entirety for Raw. And for SmackDown, Ashante the Adonis, Top Dollar, who gives a fuck? Eric Ivar, B-Fab, Lacey Evans, who gives a fuck? Natalia, Sonya Deville, and Valhalla for SmackDown. And whether or not NXT is part of that remains to be seen. And then we continue things on Monday night with hopefully the conclusion officially of the draft and no supplemental to follow afterwards too. Even though next week is not when the draft officially is official, as all picks go into effect the following Monday after Backlash weekend. And that's another thing too, JJ. That Monday night, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get myself together. What the fuck?
It's okay.
Ay, ay, ay.
That kind of had me befuddled also, so it's all good.
Fuck, Constellation. Jesus. That this Monday night coming up is the go home Monday night Raw to Backlash. As Backlash is literally 1 week from today if you're on the Eastern Coast. Oh my gosh. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, Lord Almighty. Oh. Wow. How fitting is in red lights is, by the way, too, to say a statement like that. Good Lord.
Right.
The red light district, for those that don't know, if you know, you know, and you play too much Saints Row.
And if you didn't know, then your ass better call somebody.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if someone should call his mama. I don't think his mama would approve. Mama Meacham.
Yes.
Forget it. Here's that. Jesus. I don't want to think about that. Oy. Again, you want to see my mom and her. To see a mom at their worst, God help everybody around you, including my mother, who's sleeping. Constellations. Jesus.
And then as we round out the evening here, as we go through the shows very quickly.
Right.
Tomorrow on Renegades Reviews, new release Saturday, I will be reviewing Renfield.
Oh, the vampire movie.
Yes, it's basically a direct sequel to 1931's Bela Lugosi's Dracula, with Nicolas Cage picking up the cape that Bela Lugosi wore, and Nicholas Hoult in the role of Dwight Fry's Renfield.
Gotcha.
Later on in the evening, of course, open mic night. We will be discussing the new championship, as well as a few other topics.
Yes.
We also will probably cover some of the supplemental drafts.
Yeah.
At least quickly. We may not spend 2 hours going through it like we did this, but
Nah,
uh,
it would not be worth that.
just kind of quickly breeze through them there.
Yeah.
Assuming
Yeah.
I was going to say, assuming that I don't decide to do another thing like this tomorrow once they've all been announced.
It comes down to how important the remaining draft picks are. And again, out of this group, besides Viking Raiders, Natalia, Candice LeRae, and Dexter Lumis and Hartwell's going to Raw, I don't really give a damn about Hit Row or the Maximum Male models. And as far as King Mike's comment goes, the SmackDown Talking Smack, the reboot shit, it's on the Peacock some point Saturday morning. I'm guessing that's what they're referring to. I don't watch
Yeah,
that.
it's supposed to be tomorrow morning. I don't know what time. I can probably try to go to Peacock really quickly while we're still on the air and see if I can figure the time out here. But
about to say, if Talking Smack is regularly on Saturday mornings, I imagine it's whenever that's on, whenever that's uploaded, because obviously that's pretty recorded. And Daniel, that's a fair shout out. But again, Roxanne Perez has done it all in NXT. She wasn't even involved in the names. Again, I thought Roxanne and Zoe Stark were going to be the names called, and they still might be. But Cora Jade just came back as a heel character, just got a freaking win, and who knows how damn long. She needs to continue to define her character just like Braun Breaker is. These two could be the wrecking force to deal with on NXT if booked correctly.
That's fair.
Anyway, as you were.
Yeah,
You were right. You were
I'm not
looking at
seeing the latest episode.
Yeah,
but in any event,
Talking Smack. That's what it's called. Talking Smack.
Yes.
Could not remember it for the life of me.
Then on Sunday will be another episode of The War Zone, the weekly acquisition report. Still got more 50-cent movies from Dollar Tree that I'll be showing off.
Nice.
And then I wanted to go ahead and make the announcement here.
Yeah.
I have now that I'm monetized on my channel, I have opened up a members section of the channel.
Oh.
Where for a monthly fee, monthly subscription fee, I'm going to be putting all of my wrestling content over there. So people have kind of gotten used to me doing Renegades reviews and doing movie reviews. Well, I'm going to start doing wrestling DVD reviews.
Oh.
Maybe old wrestling pay-per-view reviews. And just, talking about professional wrestling more, much like I did with the old Renegade of Wrestling show. And that's going to be over there. So I'm going to run this little video here. It's a little less than 3 minutes, kind of gives a little bit of that information. So check this out real quick.
All right.
The following is a special announcement from J.J. Williams and the Casa D18 Studios YouTube channel. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the members only section of the Casa D18 Studios YouTube channel. Now, in the coming weeks, months, and years, this is where you will find all of my non-archived wrestling content. What I'm going to try to do is review wrestling DVDs, much in the same vein as you will see my movie reviews over on Renegades Reviews, as well as occasionally discuss the current wrestling product, much like the old school Renegade of Wrestling shows from the early 2010s. This is where you will find all of that content. I'm looking at doing it on Thursdays, as that's usually a dead day here on the channel, with the exception of the Throwback Thursday content that airs on the main Casa D18 Studios side of things. So for $4.99 a month, you guys will get access to all of that wrestling content that'll be coming to you in the coming weeks, months, and years. Those of you that subscribe early, like now, you'll get a few little hot take videos, maybe a surprise secret drop in there. But we're looking to have the content begin going live in July of 2023. first video debuting on July 1st, which is a Saturday, and then every Thursday thereafter, you will get a brand new video here in the members only section of the Casa D18 Studios channel. Again, just $4.99 a month. It's a good way for you to show your love, your support. I hear a lot of you guys whispering and talking about how you would like for me to do more wrestling content. This is the way that you prove it. Show that love, show that support. Subscribe for only $4.99 a month, and you get access to videos nobody else will get access to. I thank you guys for watching this brief video explaining to you what's going to be coming up here in the members only section of the Casa D18 Studios channel over the next coming weeks. And I look forward to your support. Have a great day.
Well executed and a great game plan for some further content, but also some further in-depth exclusive Casa Studios media. I like it a lot, JJ. I think that's a really cool idea.
Thank you. And all you got to do is go to my YouTube page. You can see it there. You come right over here and there's a button that says join. You click on it and it'll pop up. You'll see the same video that just aired. And then you click the little button there to join. And like I say, for $4.99, you'll be able to start getting some of that additional content. The very first thing that's going to start going up, aside from, any special drops that may hit, I actually owe the inspiration to you, sir, because it will be your NXT.
My NXT! Black and gold for life!
I actually have watched the entire 3-disc set of From Secret to Sensation.
Nice.
I have notes taken on the DVD and the matches. I just need to sit my ass down in front of the computer and film my thoughts about it.
Brilliant, man. That's perfect. Oh, by the way, I botched. It's called the SmackDown Lowdown, hosted by that Matt dude. And who is that woman? I don't know. But that's what it's called. So that's probably what the supplemental will be some point this Saturday on the Peacock. So there you go. SmackDown Lowdown. Anyway, that's really cool, JJ. I like that. I mean, I was literally watching some of my favorite matches from my NXT. Adam Cole, baby, versus Aleister Black, NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, Extreme Rules. And then I was watching the first ever NXT North American Championship ladder match with Adam Cole, EC3, Lars Sullivan, the Velveteen Dream, debuting Ricochet, and Killian Dane. And then I was watching freaking Keith Lee taking on Dominic Dijakovic, NXT TakeOver Portland. Again, my NXT! That was my bread and butter, man. That's going to be awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah, honestly, for the stuff that I've seen so far, I really enjoyed the Fatal 4-Way match with Tyler Breeze, Sami Zayn, Tyson Kidd, and Adrian Neville.
Yep, that was in the super early days of NXT before they went and took over outside that little performance center at Full Sail.
And then, let me see, I'm trying to find the other one. Oh, Glorious Bobby Roode versus Ty Dillinger.
Glorious! Oh, God, I missed that.
Mean, watching the presentation of Bobby Roode and him coming out on the stage with a choir performing his theme song, I was just like, dude, I got goosebumps watching that.
Yes,
and that
NXT
wasn't even my NXT.
It was glorious, JJ. It was absolutely glorious. Oh, my God, I missed that.
But yeah, so I've got that's going to be reviewed. I've got NXT Greatest Matches. I've got Best of TakeOver 2017 and Best of TakeOver 2018. Every NXT Black and Gold DVD that has been put out, I now own them. And over time, I'm going to be reviewing them.
Nice. Well, have a great time and enjoy the voices of Ma Ranello, Nigel McGuinness, Rich Brennan, Showtime Percy Watson, and freaking Corey Graves when he becomes a part of the.
Yes, Corey, very early on in the disc, I'm hearing. So
Yeah, and then Renee Paquette was that down there
Yes.
a little bit. Byron Saxton, I think, was down there a little bit before they had the 3 for the long going. That was, let me get it right. Give me a moment. Beth Phoenix, Mara Ranello, Najee McGinnis. I had to think there for a moment. And then Vic Joseph, of course, when Mara was no longer there. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, what I really liked about the other one, and I don't want to give too much away because I want people to come and pay for the
I'm about to
membership.
say,
It's like,
DJ,
I like how the other one.
You're live, pal.
I like how the disc that I watched kind of gave a little bit of a bio. Those are the things that I like most in my WWE DVDs. I don't really get into them as much when they're like full discs of just matches. I like there to be a little bio, a little bit of history, and being able to watch
Backstory.
the backstory and the top 25 NXT superstars is voted by the fans. I thought that was a great introduction to your NXT before I get into those matches. So
especially when they arrived. I love it, JJ. I love it. Again, have a great time, man. That's all I gotta say. Ooh, you might see Prince Devitt's freaking NXT debut with the Demon as well when that comes.
I don't think, well, at least on the disc I watched, his debut wasn't on there, but his house show match against Samoa Joe was on there.
Oh yeah, the wars they had, and I can't remember the last time a house show had merit towards existing storylines and championships when freaking Samoa Joe beat Finn Balor at a house show for the NXT title.
That match is on that disc.
I can't believe. Again, when was the last time? There hasn't been a time since then that happened. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, you think about Edge winning the Intercontinental Championship from Jeff Jarrett in Canada back in 98, 99, 99.
Yeah, they kind of run together, to be fair, those 2 years. But anyway, good stuff,
but
JJ.
Yeah, so
I like it.
I hope everyone out there will support and start joining. There's not any content over there just yet, I'm not going to lie, but I do have a feeling that in the next month there might be a little special drop, a little secret drop over there. So if you guys want to get in now, be greatly appreciated.
Hey, gotta start somewhere before you get to anything further. Daniel here. We will see on Monday night if we get more shockers. That's not from a shock master. If you get it, you know. Well, if you know, you know.
But yeah, and then of course, we will be back here on Monday night, or at least I will be back here Monday night. I don't know if Noah will, because that'll be 2 a.m. his time.
Yeah.
But I will be back here Monday night after the West Coast coverage to once again run down what happened on Raw for the draft.
Well, I am working from home next week, so I should be able to take a nap. We'll play it by ear. We'll see.
That works for me, sir. But thank you to everybody who joined us, tuned in this morning for you guys over there, because it was already 1:15 when the stream started.
Right.
Once again, thank you, Noah, for riding with me, for slapping yourself awake. And go take yourself a little bit of a nap now. I know you always famously say, "What is sleep?" But go get you some rest now. You do need to recharge your batteries every now and again.
Trust me, I'm well aware. My mom's told me that too, and it's Saturday, and without any actual wrestling on, Saturday is the day that I could sleep until I feel like waking up. So who knows at this point. So trust me, I get the sleep that I need, but I assure you shortly I will definitely get more than enough sleep indeed.
And we will see you guys back here tomorrow for Open Mic Night, where again we will be discussing the new World Heavyweight Championship that we now know will be exclusive to Raw as a result of the draft, and Roman being SmackDown's #1 draft pick, as well as a few other topics we've got in the cauldron to dish about, if you will.
There you go. Never know.
Do you want to go ahead and take us out of here real quickly, sir, as you always do?
Always, because at the end of the day, the story remains the same when it comes to me, for I am just a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling, damn it! But I digress. As always, you can find me at Foster1916 across the social media for all things wrestling. Shout out to the entire W family on the Twitter. We got open mic night, and then we move into Backlash week as we proceed to the conclusion of the WWE Draft and supplementals. And who knows if we get, we're going to switch this around afterwards too, as we've seen before, as well as now April comes to a close very soon, and it's going to be May. And boy, is there a lot ahead in the month of May too. But as always, I like to conclude, there are no winners, there are no losers, there are no betters. They're just fans with opinions, but it's passion we all share. So at the end of the day, folks, support one another and respect each other and protect your mentality too, especially your families. And just enjoy life and enjoy professional wrestling. It's as simple as that, but I am also going to say this. The late, great, truly, Jerry Springer, take care of yourselves and each other.
There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. For the simple man with the spectacular voice, Noah Foster. For the man whose name is on the building today, the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham.
I love that.
I am the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. Thank you for joining us for our coverage of the WWE Draft, and we will see you guys later on this evening for open mic night.
Have a good night, folks. Sorry, Sean. You got screwed.